Afia, thank you so much for joining us, for joining us, in fact, and being with us for all these years, all through the journey. You've seen how we have progressed from one area to other on, sensitizing the media on how women should be portrayed, how women should be represented, how women should be respected. And when it comes to respect, social media is actually
Oh,
absolutely
that's a bundle of toxicity.
Shibri So this is what we will be talking about. This is about sexualized online violence, and what we would like you to comment on. And of course, you have your own experiences, and you, of course, read about it, and you write about it, and you meet people who have gone through it. So just tell us, when do you think it all started? When do you think this trend of abusing women and sort of um, making them so uncomfortable that they leave the social space? When do you think this all started?
I wish I could say that this is something recent because what you see on social media, or rather online, is actually a reflection of what women have been going through offline in the physical
Mm.
space.
Mm.
So it's the same attitudes.
Yeah.
So these behaviors women have been experiencing for all their life. Any
Mm.
woman who has stepped out has a story of a time which made her uncomfortable, of a gaze that made her uncomfortable, of a person who brushed past her, whether in office, whether in a bus or public transport, or whether, just standing there waiting or in shops. So I'm not going to say that, this is something new. What has worsened is the fact that sort of a democratization of the social media, or rather the democratization of the space where expression can
Mm.
be heard. Because otherwise, earlier it used to be either women would not venture out or not venture out without somebody who would make them feel safe. It again, was a dependence.
Mm.
And it's not, a dependence that was not good for the women. It was not good for the person who was accompanying her, maybe a brother, father, whoever. Because I mean, it shouldn't be like this. They shouldn't have to accompany them and give
Mm.
their time to something which should have been just a normal thing for the girl to go out and come back
Mm.
unharmed or unharassed. So these things have translated into the cyberspace, because for one, women are there now and women are expressing their opinions, and opinions, a woman who expresses opinions is actually not somebody who makes people feel very comfortable. And then,
Mm.
the counter to that is to make her uncomfortable. We've seen this,
Yeah.
now social media. I know we, for a very long time, we used to call it the new media. It's not
Mm.
very new. I mean, what, about 2 decades?
Yeah, no,
More
almost.
than that, in fact, when did that MSN Messenger, etc. came? Now I know these, we think only Twitter or Insta or Facebook, etc. are new. Even Facebook is considered old.
Mm.
So the thing is, because quite a fair number of women are there who are articulate, who are saying things that they were not able to say it in other spaces. So that gets them the backlash. And unfortunately, the anonymity that the social media affords one, 90% of the times, when somebody is being vitriolic or somebody, I say, I don't talk to Anda. I mean, they don't even have the courage to put their own
Yeah.
profile or
Yeah.
name or something, and they'll have either, their favorite political leader, if they have to have that. Otherwise, it's just an Anda
Mm.
vilifying. So, so I think there have been these reactions have also been evolving. Yes, we never knew what bots were. So that means it's not just a human who's harassing you. And the sooner women understand what is the difference, uh,
Mm.
maybe that'll allow them to sort of not pay any attention to content which they would be bothered by if they thought it was from another human person.
Mm.
ये वो
Yeah.
कैसा हो सकता है?
So, Afia, the thing is that, It's not just the harassment that's of course a worrying factor, but the kind of language. I mean, we have been sort of doing this social listening and trying to put together a compendium of all these abuses. I mean, they are so disturbing that you can't even say those. I mean, my team is having a tough time trying to, because when we spoke to Meta, and of course, X wasn't really responding, but Meta did, and they wanted us to fill in, templates and all. Um, and they wanted us to translate the Urdu and Punjabi because they don't pick Urdu and Punjabi, and most
Yeah,
of
that's
if
true.
it's in Roman, it's in Urdu and Punjabi, and it is unimaginable to the limit people can go to humiliate women. I mean, any
Yeah,
woman, any.
absolutely. So I don't know if this is appropriate enough to then, and is this going live?
No, no, no. This is
You're
recorded.
recording it. Okay, so I mean, it's your prerogative if you want to take that out, or you can ask her, and then, if she gives permission, you can put it in. You know that a group of women had gone to the Human Rights Committee of the
Mm-hmm.
National Assembly to lodge these kind of complaints. And Asma Shirazi and these women, they took examples, they took printouts which had screenshots and whatever, the comments below their tweets. And they were given to the chairman of the Human Rights Committee, which was at that time Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. And now he's a young man. He has that kind of a sensitivity to these things, and so he distributed those comments amongst the members of the committee for them to read it out for the rest of the people. And when
Mm.
it was Asma Shirazi's turn, the things that her papers were handed over to Mohsin Dawar. Now, this is something that because my
Yeah.
daughter was also part of that,
Mm.
hearing, so she told me. And so he gave it to Mohsin Dawar to read it, and he looked at it, and then he said, I can't. I
Mm.
cannot utter these words. And what in the world, how do they? I can't even imagine how she goes through, these things being hurled at her. She's
Mm.
a public figure. So obviously she has a public persona. Her opinions are public. Then she's a journalist. So obviously, if she's making an analysis, it would be, well, either for somebody or
Yeah.
against somebody. And this, the filth that spewed out, one is because, unfortunately, the elders are not really setting a very good example. Now, this is, we are talking about what's happening on the social media, but even on mainstream media,
Mainstream media.
especially the electronic media, we have seen the behavior of people who are disagreeing with you for whatever ideological reason, political reason. The analysis about the economy is different from what yours is. So there is absolutely this lack of disagreeing with politeness. Agreeing to disagree would be even a level higher than that.
Mm.
So to maintain that kind of politeness, so then when you keep getting bombarded by those kind of visuals and that kind of language and that kind of demeanor, then that becomes like the normalized behavior.
And also, I fear that it's sometimes it's not just languages; it's also images. And I think
Yeah.
quote because Dr. Taira Kasmi, who is a gynecologist, and she is doing a program with us on gynae feminism, and she herself has said it on one of our programs that people send her pictures of their private parts, and she laughs it off, and in fact she responds to them that what am I going to do with this piece of flesh? I'm a doctor. I see these all the time. So why are you sending me these? So you can imagine that the kind, I'm just wondering, what is the mentality? Obviously somebody who knows, who is a psychologist or a psychiatrist may be in a better position, but as a social scientist or somebody, or even as a journalist, how would you analyze the mentality of people who not only use filthy language but also share filthy pictures? I mean,
Yeah.
I see Insta full of it. I mean, it's at times as if there is nothing but the jokes when you, because I go through it
Yeah,
as
so I mean,
content.
it started with jokes, and I will always respect what Ux did with that campaign of "It's not
Uh,
funny,"
I
because they
still
were taken
continue
as
with it.
jokes, the wife jokes or misogynist jokes, and people laughing and poetry.
Yeah.
The internet is full of it, and people whom we consider our friends and our family members. I'm not really going to sort of. I'm so like we say, na husne zan. Husne
Mm,
zan won't let me say that they are very biased or misogynist people, because generally their behavior isn't like that. But then the fact that they are sharing and they find it funny,
mm.
I wonder that what prompts them. I mean, how are you so blind that this is a joke that's not funny? It isn't a joke, and there are people who can be offended, and then they say, "Oh, I mean, that can't you take a joke?" No, I don't think it's a joke, so
Ex-
that's why I
You know,
can't take it.
that's actually where the problem is. Just yesterday on our friends group, somebody shared a joke about a woman taunting at other woman, and the man saying something, and two women just taunting at each other. And another person said, because they know about my stance, and is this the right place to post it? And that guy is
Yes.
saying, okay, this is just, we are not even here, it's just two women. I said, yeah, pitting women against women is the oldest weapon of patriarchy. I mean, that's, and men enjoy it the most. So that is, the attitude, because everybody takes it so lightly, and then they say, oh my God, you're so serious about everything.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, exactly. So there's a can't you take a joke? I
you
will
can't,
take a joke if I think
yeah,
it's funny.
yeah,
It's a joke.
it's
It
funny,
isn't a
yeah,
joke. I don't think these things are funny. The other thing what you mentioned about these offensive pictures is,
yeah,
not every woman is Dr. Tahira. She's
yeah.
a very brave woman who
Oh,
has
she's
the ability
amazing.
to push back in a way that it's sort of inspiring. I won't even call it refreshing,
Yeah.
the way she's able to. But I guess that's also maybe because she's a doctor and she has seen. And I definitely, if I see something of that sort, I would be disturbed,
Hmm.
more disturbed than offended.
Yep.
I wouldn't know how to react. I will probably block the person. I've not yet blocked people. I don't. So, I mean, I've been taught that there are privacy settings, and nobody can really get to you unless you allow, or if your privacy settings are lax. So, I don't look at my messenger inbox.
Hmm.
Now, people have had to try to find me, maybe, put it on the timeline. "Okay, please, can you check? We need your number," or something. Friends have
Hmm.
said, "You don't look at your messages. I've been messaging you." I said, "I'm sorry, but these days everybody uses WhatsApp for ease of usage. So I don't really look at this thing." But even within the messenger, there is apparently there's this other box, which I
Hmm.
do not touch. And I won't open it even once, because I don't want to ever have to say lie to someone कि मैं देखती नहीं हूँ, जबकि मैंने कुछ लोगों का देखा और कुछ का ना देखा. So I
Hmm.
just don't touch it. But those are not the things that generally people who are signing on to the internet, especially women, do. And that's how that offensive content comes before your eyes. Now, I have my admiration for you and sympathy for you, that because you're in this space where you are sort of, fighting and advocating. So you go through a lot of stuff which normally
My
wouldn't.
God,
And
you
I mean, yeah, you've got nerves of steel to be able to do that. But the
not
thing is,
just go
you
through
are
it. I share it with my team, and they sometimes they are amazed that,
yeah.
but you just keep on watching these things. You keep on looking at the quotes, and then you keep on forwarding it, because that's how you read the minds of the people, because this is reality. This is what's happening, and this is why a lot of young women don't either enter the space, or they just leave
Or they
it.
leave it. You see so that is the problem. And another thing which you are saying, that it's this offensive visual content that is being sent to the women. So of course they need to be more digital literacy for the girls to be able to shield themselves from this nonsense. That doesn't It's not always 100% foolproof, but it does shield you in quite a way. What is more disturbing, or rather not just disturbing is a very light word for it. It's concerning, it's alarming, is that the kind of threats that are hurled, and we have seen those threats translate into actual actions in the physical space.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, threatening rape seems to be, of course, the first sort of reaction to something
Mhm.
that a woman says and you don't agree with.
Yeah.
And it is irrespective of what the age or what the status of that woman is. Young girls get it, older women get it. So I mean, so what you said was what is happening to the society is something that absolutely some sociologists need to unpack it. But I think we know quite a few factors. Like, I mean, there's this total segregation is
Mm.
also at the root cause. I know I get bashed when I say that, but my point is that if you normalize a woman's presence in your within your family, within your institution,
Schools, colleges.
your working space, on
uh,
the roads, that curiosity sort of dies down, and the reaction that, oh, why is she in my space? So that concept of my space has to be diluted, that it is not just the space meant for men, and it is not just bad women who are, those
Out
women
there.
who are trying to take their place over there are not bad character women. They are just as accomplished or more accomplished, etc. So unfortunately, we have seen threats being translated,
Mm.
and that is something that it goes on into the domain of the law enforcement, which has completely failed. They keep bringing these draconian laws. They keep trying to twist the law in a manner on the pretext that it is going to be for the protection of women and children, especially because who have been abused and who have the potential to be abused due to online content. But that has never worked for them. It's
Yeah.
only the dissent that is curbed through various laws. Right now, I think just today or yesterday, another new law has come into force. So now do the women feel safe? Ask them. Or
I
you can
mean,
ask them, "Da,
why
maybe
can't
two,
they
3 months
start?
are down the road."
Yeah, why and why can't they start to have proper implementation of the ones that we already have? I mean, if you start to implement laws, if you start with quick justice to everyone who has been affected, I think that is a better form
Yeah.
of giving relief to women who've been suffering. Sometimes
The
they suffer in
entire
silence.
process is stacked against the women trying to get redressal.
Yeah.
The first case of such cyber harassment that was taken to the court by a brave young woman, and because her family said that we are with you, it's not that matti pao badnami hogi and all that. And it took 5 years for that case to do that entire loop and come to a decision and get to the culprit. And by that time, the culprit had already, who had been picked up, had served half his term. So that woman was vulnerable again,
Yep.
because he was going to be released. But this is not just it. You see, there are other things. I know that the government doesn't really admit that there is any lack. At different forums, they say, no, 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 the capacity of the department or the working of the people in the department wasn't up to par. And that is why now we are having another department for which I don't know whether they're going to import those competent people from Mars or
Mm.
where. So uh, it's the entire twisted kind of mentality which is also present in these institutions, which were supposed to be guardians of the women's, sanctity. It was a young man who had been maligned, and he had gone there to plead his case. And he came and told me, so it wasn't even a woman who told me, that the
Oh.
cases where the women's pictures are morphed and they've, submitted evidence of along with their complaint, was doing the rounds of all the people working over there. Oh, look at these pictures. This girl who came and complained about it. Look at the pictures that were from this phone, or look at the
Mm.
pictures we found in the phone of the culprit whom we caught. I mean, what kind of privacy or what kind of sanctity of any evidence is there? So how do we feel confident in such a system? So
Exactly.
that's what I said, that all the odds are stacked against the women. In these kind of cases in which you are mentioning, of course, on a political level, that's quite another can of worms. I can't really use a polite word for it. But if the women were supposed to be kept safe online, then I'm very sorry, all the systems have failed them. because they have been, threatened offline. The same person who has been making threats, they have reached the physical space and threatened them. They know where they live. They know, how many members in their families are. If they have a daughter, if it's a woman, middle-aged woman who has a daughter, then those
Yeah,
daughters feel threatened. So I mean, where is that safety for women? And what is this kind of filth that is circulating in the society? What kind of sons are being brought up that they are posing a threat? Because it's not, that if a woman doesn't agree with the man, how many times has she ever hurled threats of rape or
exactly.
to that man, or said, "I'll come in the physical space and I'm going to
And how many times has
pick
she
up your
used?
boys and I'm going to harm your daughter"? How many cases have been received by the FIA? I'm talking of comparison. I'm not talking of exceptions. Of course, there are women who would also probably take advantage of some of the stuff, but look at the number as compared to
Number.
the ones again.
Look at the
And
percentage. I
online, you don't
mean,
see those kind of threats from women. Okay, I'll do this to you or I'll do that to you, and especially the sexually explicit threats that are hurled at women. The women are not the.
and also, Safia, the kind of when we talk about the language, it's also it starts with women's body parts, it ends with
Absolutely.
women's body parts. So you don't see women using that against men also. Uh, I because I monitor it so often,
Yeah,
I am yet to see that. Maybe once or twice, maybe somebody may have commented, but generally, I would say 99.9%, it's only coming from men. Uh,
absolutely.
uh, and it is, I mean, it is, I just don't even have words because I just read it all the time and I say, okay, you just said, what kind of sons are being raised. I would say, what kind of men are there in the society.
That's just that filth
I
is just
just,
circulating in
yeah,
the society, and it's been exposed actually by the social media. It's not as if it wasn't there.
the mindset, and it's getting from bad to worse, and like you said, it's becoming regressive. And also the fact that you mentioned about segregation and the kind of um, society that we are turning into, where women are not supposed to step out of their houses. I mean, recently I remember two of my very young colleagues were doing vox pops for a radio production, and they asked somebody on the streets, a taxi driver maybe or a shopkeeper, that have you heard about any women players, sports women? He said no. And then they said, do you think that women should be playing sports? He said, I don't think women should even be coming out of the houses.
Yeah,
Why
so
should
that's a
we be?
pervasive mentality.
So that and that is the mentality that rapes a woman when they see her in say F9 Park.
That's a justification. Huh? She was out in a
After
space where she
and
should
after,
not have been.
especially when it's dark, because I
Yeah.
still remember what the rapist said: don't ever come out after Maghrib. So after Maghrib, do the men become animals or something? I mean, what happens? So this it's such a long debate, and this is one of the areas that Ux has picked up uh, to focus on that. All right, so these are the words, these are the expressions, and we have PTA on board, we have cyber crime wing of FIA on board.
Which is
um
now defunct. It doesn't exist anymore after the new law.
yeah,
What's going to
so
happen in the interim until the new authority is
exactly. So we don't even know, because every time you think, okay, something good has come out. Because I remember with PTA, because they had a lot of public service messages on child protection and for general users of internet and all. So in our meeting, in our interaction, we would just tell them, and we send them messages that, okay, why don't you use these messages for women's a day, or for women generally, and they did it on March 8th, and we were very pleased. But every time something good, and then you see a change, and then you don't know where you are, you're hanging in the air, and then you have, I don't
so you
know.
see, yeah, this is the problem is not PTA. You have very good people, on in the top, but they are educated, they are aware, they are, well, very sensitized to these issues. but the circulation of the pictures was by the PTA staff at the lower staff.
Yeah.
Those who, probably write down the complaint or something, and then they are, because they have this search and seizure, right? So they pick up the devices, and then it's open season. So they are circulating it among them. I'm not saying the directors are doing it. No, I have met some PhD directors, very, upright, ethical people.
Yeah.
But there have been frequent changes in the management structure as well. So it does trickle down. If your top man is very strict and very ethical and knows exactly what's going on, in the lower ranks, then maybe they can turn the organization around. But there have been such frequent changes even within that structure that none of that good trickles down. So we have to also look at that. And the other thing is that, you said that why is it happening so much more and why are we regressing? It is because there is no consequence to the action.
Yeah, exactly.
So that, gives you a sense of impunity. Then these
Yeah, you're scot-free. I mean, you just
you go scot-free, right? So,
yeah.
no, and also the reputational harm to a woman is far greater, especially in a culture like us, in a society like ours, than to a man. So
Yeah.
they don't care if they are named and shamed and called out that they are such filthy people. What does it matter? We still have a large number of people who will allow this by just saying boys will be boys. Now,
And
why?
also feel very proud that all right, there were 20 women on this space, now there are only two. So we
Yeah.
managed to push 18 out of this space. So this is more of our space.
This is the most thing, because not all women will be able to push back.
Yeah,
There are
that
not many Tahira Kazmis here, right?
yeah.
There are not many Jalila Heathers here.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be possible for girls. And then so just like they are silenced within closed walls, they are abused, they are silenced. Similarly, this is also a kind of the Surya Zababandi for the women, that
Mm.
how dare you have an opinion, and how dare it be
We
contrary to what
express it.
our opinion, and then you are expressing it. I mean, why? That means you are not really a good person, a good woman. So again, then we have, it's when you start unpacking the seam, nobody knows better than you, that you say, why is it becoming so regressive? We are glorifying women who are taking abuse.
Coming to the dramas.
Oh my God. You are normalizing abuse, and the glorification of women who listen, who are submissive, who will take abuse because that's what good women do.
Yeah.
So any woman who's not doing that is not a good woman. So she needs to
And,
be
and, and
given
good
the
and good
place.
women don't have the right to even live. I mean, they shouldn't even be here on this earth.
Yeah, so that's another matter, because yesterday I mean I was traveling and I came in, and so the sad thing is, you see, you will give space to somebody who is the other. I've noticed this because I travel, you also travel, but I travel across the country in very, very conservative societies as well.
Mm.
I've not felt threatened. I've not been abused. I've not been disrespected. The men will sit with me. They'll talk to me. They will, I'm out all over the place. Yet their own women will not get that
Exactly.
freedom,
I
right?
think we're
So
the few privileged ones. That's about it.
very few, and then
Yeah.
that depends on the status or
Yeah.
the kind of personality they have. We've seen women from communities make inroads into politics, so they it wasn't handed over to them on a platter. So
Yeah.
they've had to fight for everything they got. But I'm just going to what I actually wanted to mention, because yesterday I was in Quetta, and it was a holiday. And it was such a joy to see people enjoying themselves, playing cricket, going on motorcycle to these recreational spots. But I just sort of commented that I think I'm in Mars. There's not a single woman.
Mm.
You see such beautiful videos of Pakistani, recreational spaces or hidden gems, etc. And I'm so happy to see there, a couple of them have women. Yes, there are some solo travelers as well who are posting, of these far off places. But generally, the groups are men. So I mean, the women won't be out, on a holiday, sitting on a motorcycle. Three women sitting on a motorcycle going out to a
Yeah.
stream, just dipping their feet over
It,
there.
it's not a novel sight.
Not.
It's
So that is a problem, you see. So it was so stark because it was quite a distance from where I was going, and I didn't see a single woman. I've got videos. I didn't. I mean, I wanted to post them that here I'm visiting Mars because men are from Mars and women are from Venus. But we seem to be living on Mars where the space is only, for them, and it's only a few good men, as they say,
hmm.
who will allow you. And this is something so makes me so angry. Why should anybody be allowing me to be somewhere? It's my right to be there. I
Yeah,
mean, these rights are inherent. Nobody needs to be giving them to me.
so yeah, coming back to the online sexual violence. w- you did mention, laws, and you did mention the mechanisms and the government machinery and how ineffective it is. All those things are there. But what is the way forward, Afia? I mean, we can't actually let this go on because this is, it will kill women, not just physically, but even if they are alive, they won't be
And
alive.
emotionally and mentally, they are a
Yeah.
wreck.
Yeah, they'll just be there in a woman's body and no mind, no
I mean,
thinking,
they think that,
nothing.
the best way is to withdraw and their life will be peaceful. But what an empty life,
Yeah,
where you cannot interact with others, where you cannot express yourself, where you can't express your frustrations, anger, and happiness. So even the expression of happiness by women is not
that is
tolerated.
told. Yeah, I mean that is told, and that is also something that you shouldn't be expressing because everything about men is to be so private and
Yeah.
kept hidden that they shouldn't be sharing it, not even their happiness.
So yeah, so that is, so where are we headed? I really wish I had an answer. There is no silver bullet because societal changes are generational. Reach the point where we can say, okay, the next generation is going to be better than what we were or what we are seeing. This will not be happening because unfortunately, a lot of youth is also very,
Yeah.
very toxic. Like I said, age doesn't matter. Age of the woman that they are abusing does not matter. They will be abusing young girls, their peers, their elders. It just does not matter to them. So I mean that's when I said that what kind of boys are we raising?
Hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I really can't see a solution unless a real push. Maybe one generation needs to just push from both sides, in the upbringing of men and also of in the upbringing of women, so that they can be. We need several, like I mentioned, Tahira Kazmis and Tasneem Hammers and
And
Jamila
Afia
Haider
Salam,
and people.
Fariha, and a lot of other
Yeah,
women.
because so again, I know you mentioned Faria. You will see her only now interacting as far as the subject is concerned.
Hmm.
She's not really enjoying herself on the social media like girls of her age do. She
Yeah.
won't put pictures up. She won't, they're going out with friends, they party or whatever. And these are just, in the inbox on WhatsApp. Because
Hmm.
somebody is definitely likely to comment, why are you there? Why have you gone? Only women have gone for a trip. Where's your
Hmm.
man?
And
So
also, Afia, I think there's also this fear of being photoshopped if you're putting a
that's what I mean.
yeah.
That the girls are actually staying away. Although, like I said, there needs to be a little more effort on part of the digital literacy firms to
Hmm.
uh, show that you can be there, you can stay there without getting compromised. But we are a very long way off from that.
Hmm.
It's so much easier to get onto these platforms. And like you mentioned, they've Meta, okay, Meta, that's a great thing if they ask you because things get lost in translation.
They do, yeah.
And unfortunately, things that are not meant as abusive are taken as abusive when you just transliterate from Urdu to English. There
Hmm.
was a very powerful ad made some years ago by one of the UN organizations working in Pakistan. and the theme was Beat Me Lightly.
Mm.
You remember? So I put a comment, and Facebook picked up the word beat me, and
Mm.
they gave me a warning. And I was actually, saying some good things about that ad, that it is showing, okay,
Mm.
beat me at sports, beat me at education, beat me at skills. It
Mm.
was that kind of an ad. And I said, oh, what, really, the
So,
girls should,
so obviously they'll only pick up words that they understand and
that's my
without any
point, that
context. Yeah, without any
there
context.
needs to be a bigger engagement with them. For one thing, their language, the community standards need to include more languages. But the thing that you are trying to do is, I don't know if that can be done. I mean, how do you translate these abuses? Who
Yeah,
translates them?
we will send you what we have done. Once it's done, my team is like
Oof,
they
I can't
are.
even, I don't even want to go there, I don't even want my thoughts to go into unpacking the kind of words that I used.
Yeah, but I mean, there are literal translations and there are, of course, contextual translations. There are contextual meanings to the words. They are
Oh,
added
hats
in
off
one
to
thing,
you
and
people who are.
that's what I've told them, that there'll be literal translations, and then we are going to have a paragraph explaining
Absolutely. That is the main
what
thing.
this is, what's the context is, why was this used, why is why are these words used constantly against women, even when two men are trying to abuse each other, they would use
They
women.
will use women.
Yeah,
I mean, it's their mothers and their
yeah,
sisters who are being abused,
yeah.
basically. And this is something that they can't seem to get their head around.
No, that's it.
So if they did,
We,
probably they'd pause and
we
think.
actually did a program on this for Pakistani Women's Day, and my producer Shaista, she said, she was also the narrator. She said, "Ma'am, can we use AI for saying these words, because I can't say these words." So we
That's
actually used AI.
there you
That
go. You can relate to why Mohsen Davar refused to read
yeah.
all those things that
Uh,
Asma had
and
handed.
those were not even to the level of what these women journalists get. I mean, those were, I did not write those words, but even then, uh, my narrator said that, I'm very uncomfortable. So can we have the AI to say these words? So yeah, but Afia Salam, thank you so much. I mean, talking to you always is a pleasure. You've been a journalist for a long time. You are an environmentalist. You are a thinker. You are, I don't know, you are so many things. You're a sports
I'm
person.
a rolling stone, but
Yeah.
I've tried to gather some moss. One of my
Uh,
producers said it. I don't know why he wanted my CVA, and I gave it to him. I said, "Good God, you're a rolling stone." I said, "Hey, I gathered moss, okay? So don't
mm,
don't run me down." But no, thank you so much, because it is, your persistence. I've seen this, what, over 4 decades. This kind of
almost, yeah.
persistence of trying to weed out stuff, and that
Yeah,
just shouldn't have existed in the first place.
from print to electronic to social media. I mean,
Absolutely.
the trend continues, and it's
But then
obviously
your fight continues. So,
the fight
I
continues,
kudos
and
to you and your
it will
organization and
continue
everybody in your
till I'm,
organization.
yeah, till I'm alive, and I hope after I'm gone, my organization will keep it alive. So yeah, thank you so much, and I
Thank
hope to
you very
catch up
much
with
for
you.
having me. I mean,
Thank you.
you've given me the chance to vent, because these are very troubling
I
things.
That's why we want to have the series of podcasts with women and men. A lot of times you have so much to say, but there aren't any platforms. And then,
Yeah.
of course, you need to hear the other side, what other people are thinking, what other people are, what are their thoughts on abusive language, abusive pictures, about the filth that's there on the social media, why are women quitting social media. So, yeah, thank you so much, Afia.
Thank you. Thank you, and yeah, us both.
Thank
This is
you.
a joint fight.